Welcome to Skinside Out, where we uncover the science, trends, and truths behind skin health. Your trusted guide to the world of dermatology. This podcast is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional care by a doctor or other qualified medical professional.
Welcome to Skinside Out, where science meets beauty. I'm your host, Dr. Zain with Courtney. So today we are talking about winter scalp health. So it's winter time, our skin's dry, our scalp's dry, we're all flaking, and we're not talking about snowflakes. So, I think that we notice a lot of changes in our skin, but I think one of the key areas is our scalp. Mm-hmm. I feel like everyone's scalp is inflamed, people are really itchy, they're flaky, and they're often coming to us for solutions. So tell me a little about what's going on with our scalp.
A few things, I guess. So I think in the winter months, obviously there's a colder, drier air. So when you don't have that humidity to add a little bit more moisture into the scalp, certain things can create irritation. So sometimes we look at things like certain shampoos or certain scalp products that people are using, even, over the counter, like minoxidil sometimes can be irritating for those patients when the scalp is dry and can't really handle that in that moment. So, sebderm, psoriasis, I think those conditions that we'll kind of get into more, we see definitely fluctuate in the wintertime as well.
Yeah, definitely see seborrheic dermatitis flaring up. And I do think it's partially due to the environment, drier conditions leading to more yeast overgrowth, imbalance, leading to more inflammation. But also, I think it's also a time where we're stressed. Mm-hmm. The holidays, that raises, cortisol, we're all stressed. And that also has impacts on our skin, including our scalp.
Yeah. It's funny, even things like hot showers, mm-hmm. We've talked about the hot showers previously, but what's the first thing that's getting hit in the shower is your scalp. So
I never thought about
I'm on to something. The Einstein of scalps. Yeah. But it's the first thing that's being hit in that water. We've all talked about how we love our hot showers, but it dries it out. It dries it out. Women know from a hair standpoint, sometimes I'll actually rinse my hair with cool water at the end of my shower, just to try to avoid frizz. But the showers and the indoor heat too can be a big offender.
Yeah. So in terms of what's really happening, so let's break it down on the molecular level, on the biochemistry. So we're seeing that there's a loss of the lipid layer. So lipids are these fats that help to keep our skin barrier intact and also moisturize. So we see there is a compromise in that. So the hair is oftentimes rougher and less protected. In addition, we see increased transepidermal water loss. So this is a term that we use for the amount of water that we lose to the environment from our skin. Mm-hmm. So we see definitely a rapid, increase in that with these drier conditions. Mm-hmm. Leads to, dehydration, itching, and flaking.
I think we wear more hats in the winter, mm-hmm. the beanies, especially toboggans. And sometimes I think that, occlusive environment can create more of the yeast overgrowth.
Yeah, that's sweat.
Yeah.
Yeast love that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a feast for them. So I always tell my patients, try to let your scalp breathe. Mm-hmm. And also oiling your hair is not going to help. In fact, it's going to feed the yeast, leading to more inflammation. So a lot of my patients, my scalp's really dry, it's irritated, I'm just going to coconut oil in it. And it's not getting any better. Well, the reason why is because you're probably feeding the problem.
It's a really cool band name, Yeast Feast. Wouldn't that be?
Yeast Feast. All right, Courtney, let's do it.
I think it would be a really cool metal band, Yeast Feast.
It's kind of gross, actually.
It is really gross. Some things I also will think about is I think after the holidays or sometimes during the holidays, people will get gifts of new hair products, shampoos, conditioners, things like that. So sometimes if you're switching what you're using, you can get irritation from, whether it be fragrance or things within those products that people don't think about often.
Yeah. Oftentimes also patients complain about their hair looking duller in the wintertime. Why is that?
I think, the light reflection sometimes like decreases when that cuticle lifts. It's funny. My friend, Ari, is a hairstylist, and we have this conversation all the time.
We should have Ari on the show one day.
I know. It's funny. I actually texted her yesterday and said, can you come and meet us for a podcast? And she said, not this last minute, but I love hearing her perspective on hair health and scalp health from someone who does hair daily and sees all of these things on kind of the other end of the spectrum. And it's always really interesting. But I think, like I said, that light reflection just, without that humidity, without that oil, it's just dry. It's dry. The light reflects and just looks dull and sad.
Aw.
Yeah. Not mine personally, but.
All right. So let's go over into our winter hair survival guide. So let's kind of dive in. So what recommendations can you make to help our audience's hair look amazing?
Number one, avoid the super hot showers. I know no one wants to hear that, but it is the sad truth that it will dry you out. And like I said, when your scalp is the first thing being hit in that shower and that water is scalding, it's just going to further dry you out. So I think avoiding that as best as possible, at least using maybe a lukewarm or something ish.
That's the one thing I can't. Like my heat is like on fire. Like it's scalding hot.
Yeah.
And
what I have tried to do is before I take a shower, and I don't know that this is much better, but I try to turn my heat in my apartment up to like 74, 76 so that I don't feel like I have to have such hot water in the shower, because if it's warmer, because otherwise it's cold and you're like, oh, I don't want to get in the water if it's, so I think that's what leads to that. So sometimes just while I'm showering, I'll have my heat up like really high. And then once I get out and I'm, all dried off, I'll turn it back down. But I think just trying to mitigate that as best as possible.
Yeah. Oftentimes when my patients are coming in with seborrheic dermatitis, I often, recommend either over the counter or prescription antifungal like shampoos that help with dandruff. I do think that can help significantly reduce the yeast population and reduce inflammation. So some of the key ones that I recommend, like Head and Shoulders, zinc tends to help. Nizoral, which has ketoconazole, and cycloperox, which is a prescription. And sometimes we have to use steroids such as clobetasol, and that can help. So these are all tools that we can use to help reduce inflammation.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm just thinking about the, dry scalp, how people will say that they have dry scalp or dry flakes, and it's really that seborrheic dermatitis. I think because there's such a stigma behind, dandruff is seborrheic dermatitis, right? And so I think there's such this stigma around dandruff and having like this, poor hygiene and whatnot. So people would rather think their scalp is just dry. Oh, it's the winter, it's dry, instead of realizing like it is dandruff. But so many people have dandruff, so many people. So realizing that, hey, maybe I should just add in a medicated shampoo. It might save you, a lot of heartache in the long run. So,
and then in terms of washing your hair, the frequency, I feel like that can also impact our scalp health. What do you typically recommend to your patients?
I think it depends on hair type. A lot of my patients with skin of color, they are washing their hair, maybe every 2 weeks. So I think as providers, it's also really important to have that conversation. I think, previously we've always told our patients, okay, well, you should be washing your hair every single day and using the shampoo maybe every day for the first couple weeks. But I think also, as we shift into just being a more inclusive field, it's so important to have that conversation. And women in general, any woman you'll ask, and I know Dr. Omnis is saying, most of us are not washing our hair every day. It's
I never knew what a huge thing it was to like
There's
wash
hair
your
wash
shampoo.
days.
There's hair wash days. Until I was married, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And it's like a thing. Like, and it's a process.
Oh, yeah.
Like you have to plan this stuff.
I have 3 types of showers. I have my normal rinse, my normal wash shower, okay, that excludes the hair wash. I have my hair wash and regular shower, and then I have the shave wash hair.
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah.
Those days.
I have learned, and there's a time commitment.
Yeah. And don't talk to a woman on those days because we're on a mission.
Yes. So I learned the hard way.
So I think being aware of the fact that less washing on the hair can increase conditions like seborrheic dermatitis. So I think that being said, just being aware that, hey, maybe you want to make sure you're consistently, for myself, I'm normally washing 2 to 3 times a week. Also a lot. So dependent on my activity level. I feel like in the summer, there's more humidity and more sweating. And, if I'm exercising, whatever, then it's a lot more frequently. But just being mindful of how much you're washing.
Absolutely. And then while you're washing, trying to avoid using harsh, clarifying shampoos that can lead to more inflammation, really dries out your scalp. And, that's something that you probably want to avoid.
Yeah. And I think being mindful of, conditioner is a huge thing. I always tell my patients, you really want to be conditioning the end of your hair. What happens is when you're conditioning your roots, it's so much occlusion. All that moisture is sitting on that scalp. So I really try to encourage patients when they're washing their hair, especially using a medicated shampoo, to really only work it into your scalp and leave it on for a few minutes. That way it can really get absorbed. And
so that's something I also learned later on after having 3 girls.
Yeah.
And bathing them, I used to slather on the conditioner, sometimes that conditioner would get on their scalp and on their shoulders and lead to irritation. And then Dr. Anna kind of instructed me to do it on the ends.
Yeah. Don't condition the roots. Condition the ends. Shampoo the roots.
Yes.
One tip that I also really like telling my patients is about drying after the shower. So a lot of times with the hair dryer, most times people don't think about the heat that's being used, but that heat can really dry out the scalp as well. So trying to use more of the cooler setting. Most hair dryers will have that little snowflake button for the colder setting.
That's something else I learned about.
It's I'm telling you, there's a whole world of hair. And I do like drying my roots post shower because I think, again, when that water and that moisture is sitting there, I notice that I tend to get more dandruff after a shower if I'm not drying it out. But especially if you're letting your hair sit in a towel after, all of that moisture is just sitting on your scalp. So I try to at least do a towel dry and then at least blow dry just the roots and make sure those are dry so I can limit any sebderm.
Something else I learned?
What?
Kirby twist, about those?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm aware.
So that was such a foreign concept to me. And then now I know how to tie it like a pro.
Yeah. In fact, they make special towels, to do that. I used to just do it with a regular towel. And one year for Christmas, my sister gave me, it's a special, it's got a
little loop thing.
And it's so you can do a perfect twist every time.
I'm so good at them now.
Yeah, but you don't want to sit in those. I've made the mistake of, sleeping in one. You fall asleep on you just, you're so cozy and comfortable. And then you wake up the next morning, your hair's still wet and then your scalp is itchy and you just have to wash again. It's awful.
Yeah. So let's dive into some common winter scalp mistakes. So dry shampoo. Talk to me about dry shampoo.
Yeah, I think this time of year we use a lot more, I think with so many parties and events, people might want to elongate their, hairstyle. As you've probably learned, it's a lot to curl hair. It is a lot to straighten hair. Any girl can relate to being in the bathroom, overstimulated. You're hot. You have so much hair. Your arms are tired.
Oh my God, this is starting like deja vu.
You're about to pass out, and someone comes up to you, when are you gonna shut up?
Oh my God,
you're it's all yeah. So I think being careful of how much dry shampoo you're using, and I get it. You don't want to have to go through the whole hair wash, and not only the hair wash, but the hair dry, and then the hair styling. But that dry shampoo can create buildup, and then can also further irritate the scalp. So just being mindful of how much you're using. I think also holiday travel. Sometimes we're staying in hotels and using different shampoos and conditioners that they have, as well as different soaps. So I think being mindful of those products. And if you're someone who is a little bit more sensitive, maybe just bring your own, travel size of whatever shampoo you normally use.
Yeah. Another thing that we see patients doing is using like these rich balms in their scalps, and that can lead to occlusion, leads to also inflammation. So I always tell my patients to kind of back off on some of those because it can lead to more inflammation, flakes, and it can also lead to folliculitis.
Yeah.
I tend to get that with more occlusive like oil-based products.
Yeah. I think another one is like, and these people scare me. If you do this, I'm sorry, I'm scared of you. But the people who like after they shower, instead of drying their hair, they'll just like throw it up in a hat or throw it up in like a ponytail and like leave the house. People who leave the house with wet hair,
oh my God,
scare me. They're a different breed.
Patients that I see who come in for skin checks and their hair's still wet and they apologize to me. Oh, I just got out of the shower. I'm like, come on, girl.
I'm just scared because in the cold weather, if my hair is wet, you could get whatever information you needed out of me. If like the U.S. Marines, that would be my form of torture, is making me go outside in the cold with wet hair. That's my biggest nightmare.
Did you see that lady who had wet hair and it froze? And
that's my fear.
And then someone like hit it and it all fell off.
No, I don't believe you. I don't believe that. But that is like a fear that I have, that my hair is gonna like freeze icicles. And then it's gonna like crunch off. But people that throw it in the beanie, again, it's like that wet hair is just sitting there. So don't let it sit and fester.
Got it.
And don't pick the flakes.
Oh, that's gross. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm guilty.
Pick at their skin, pick at their flakes, pick at their toes. Like, I mean, just stop it.
Picking the flake will make it worse.
It will.
And especially if you have psoriasis, because the trauma of that picking, it's just gonna like relapse.
Well, you can actually bleed from it too.
Oh yeah,
picking at it. So,
and what sucks is, not that I've done this or anything, but when you pick your scalp before you shower and you go into the shower and it's all raw and the water hits it, it hurts so bad. Oh. So don't do it. Just use the medicated shampoo. Let the medicated shampoo sit for like 7 minutes and then rinse, and you'll be fine. And then dry your hair. Those are my tips.
Got it. So I think that this was an excellent survival guide for your scalp health in the winter months. So let's recap some of the things that we talked about. Moisturizing and conditioning. It's really important, to reduce inflammation, but also preserve that moisture in the hair shafts to, maintain that hydration. Regular washing. That does help with reducing a lot of sebderm. Avoiding friction and harsh products. We're going to do a few scalp mythbusters. So I'm going to go with winter flakes. Do they equal dry scalp?
Not necessarily. Most times it's sebderm, which is not dryness. It's yeast.
Got it.
Almost the opposite.
Would have thought. How about this? Washing less helps dandruff.
No. Wash your hair. Unless you're on Accutane, Not that washing less still helps, but you might not have to wash as often. But yeah, washing more regularly will help the dandruff. And especially if you are in like a flare, maybe just increasing to more than what your norm is for that period.
Got it. Dandruff is caused by poor hygiene.
False. And if you are someone that thinks that, I'm coming after you, because we should not be judging people for having dandruff, something that you can't control, in this day and age.
Yeah.
So don't be mean to people. That's like the bottom line.
That's her motto. Don't be mean.
Yeah. It reminds me though of from The Breakfast Club, when she she draws the picture and then like she like flakes her scalp and all the flakes come down and it's like snow. Did you watch The Breakfast Club?
I have.
Okay, you didn't seem like you like knew the reference, so
it's been a while since I've seen that.
That's such a memorable scene, and it's like nasty. It's like I think it's in the opening of the movie. She's like, and all those snowflakes. Yeah.
And then lastly, oils can cure flaking. Is that true?
No, false. Again, it's it's yeast. So when you're adding oil, back to the yeast feast, it's just creating an environment for that yeast to continue to grow and worsen. So trying to use something like a medicated shampoo in place is, what you should be trying. And again, probably seeing a dermatologist to rule out anything else. But I think always starting with a medicated shampoo, whether that's over the counter or from like a PCP, is a good start. And then going from there.
Perfect. So scalp health is really important. I think that we see a lot of conditions flare up in the winter, and you have to give your scalp a little TLC. It requires certain, ingredients, certain care tactics that will help you kind of get through the winter with minimal inflammation and irritation. So hopefully you can take these tips and put them into use. If you have any questions about scalp health or anything skin related for the winter, feel free to message us, comment, follow, subscribe, and like. But until next time, Skinside out.
Thanks for listening. This episode of Skinside Out is complete. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. For more tips, updates, and behind-the-scenes content, be sure to see what fun we're up to on TikTok. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Nor Dermatology and Aesthetics. Check us out online at norderm.com. Discover why our patients give us 5 stars on Google. Call us today at 919-617-0717.